Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're having a great weekend so far, a great Saturday. And welcome to this new video in which I wanted to do a bit of a review on Plume. In the Signal group, a lot of people have been talking about this, and just in general, there's been a lot of mindshare about this. I mean, I haven't really seen that many like YouTubers and big accounts on Twitter talking about it. But I know it has a massive community. I mean, a lot of people have already sent me messages like, "Hey, can you take a look at Plume? I mean, do you think it has potential?" So that's what I wanted to talk about. All right, I wanted to go over basically everything we know, so the fundamentals, and then I also wanted to take a look at the technicals, because I do actually have a pretty strong opinion on that and a game plan. So we'll talk about that, but let's get right into it. I mean, I'm not trying to make this video too long. I'll try to make it short for you this weekend. I'm sure most of you have other things to do as well that are more fun than watch this video. But let's get right into it. So first of all, I mean, Plume, it's a pretty big project. I mean, right now it's listed on Bybit, HTX, MaxC, basically most of the tier 1 exchanges except for Coinbase and Bitcoin. But I do think those are possible. I mean, what you can see is that first of all, they're actually, like, the market cap is 290 million, fully diluted valuation of $1.46 billion. But most of the vesting, I mean, you can see right now we actually have linear unlocks already to the community and ecosystem foundation, and the airdrop has been done, and the early backers and core contributors, so basically the investors, will get their tokens in half a year. So that year we will actually only have those linear unlocks right now, but the biggest unlocks are much later. So that's positive, at least for the next half year. That actually creates less of a supply shock, which is obviously bearish. And outside of that, what I wanted to talk about is that the volume is actually quite good. The volume right now is $44 million. I think at some point of time the volume was even much higher. So therefore, a Binance listing is a possibility, but that's pure speculation. Now, some of those investors we talked about are Galaxy, Hashkey, and some other big venture capitals. That's great, right? They raised a lot of money. That's also why they've actually built quite an impressive ecosystem, which we'll talk about in a moment. But that's quite bullish, I'd say, at least for now. I mean, on the short term, what this means is that there's more credibility behind the project, and they actually have some money to work with. Long term, it means that these investors have bought at a much lower price. So when their tokens will be unlocked, like I said, in 155 days, it's going to create a bit of a supply shock. So be aware of that. But like I said, that still takes some time. It's the 21st of July, so still takes quite a lot of time. But we haven't even talked about this. But what Plume is it's a new layer 1 network, a new blockchain that is focused on RWA. Now that already makes it interesting because, I mean, all the other things we already talked about, I think are solid for an altcoin. But being part of the RWA narrative, I think is already very bullish. The RWA narrative is still one of the strongest narratives out there. Coins like Ondo have been incredibly strong compared to other altcoins. But there have also been some massive rallies. I mean, like, this is the category on CoinMarketCap. I think most of these projects are not actually RWA, but something like Mantra is definitely RWA, did great. Something like Pendle is actually holding up very well. That's also, I would consider that RWA. Reserve Rights, a little bit less. But there's definitely great performers still in the RWA category, especially compared to some of the other categories. But like I said, that's what Plume is. All right. So they're their own layer one blockchain, layer 1 network. They've built some interesting things, and there's definitely more to it. If you really want to dive into the technicals and what they're building, such as Arc, which I think is very interesting, but also their Nexus, which seems to be some sort of a congregation of all sorts of different oracles. I'll leave a link down to the website down in the description. All right. I don't think it's my it's my job to go over the white paper with all of you. It's you can definitely see that they've done a lot of technical development to really create a layer 1 blockchain that's differentiated. All right, because there are a huge amount of blockchains, but it seems like they are actually, or they have been so far, able to really target and prioritize and focus on the RWA community, and that's also what you can see in their ecosystem. They have a huge amount of projects working with them, working on their network. Not all of them are working on their network, but just in general, a huge amount of partnerships. That's great, with some major RWA projects as well. And that has resulted in a $83 million total value locked. All right, so $83 million are locked on the chain, at least what I can find, because DeFi Llama is actually not showing that data. So this is what I've got from June dashboards, which usually is trustworthy, but it seems logical as well. So that places it in the top 50, top 51 in terms of total value locked compared to other blockchains. That is still relatively small, right? It's smaller, for example, than Algorand, Scroll, Hedera, Near, Say, and Multiverse. But in this crypto space, honestly, it's pretty impressive. All right, the competition between layer 1 blockchains is very, very high. And compared to that TVL, the current valuation of $290 million, it's high, of course, but there's definitely room for growth. And especially looking at the technicals, I mean, basically since launch, the 22nd of January, we've seen quite a lot of bearish pressure in the markets. Plume has been able to hold on just fine. All right, it's been mostly consolidating here between 11 cents, a little bit lower actually, and 17 and 17.5 cents. And given the circumstances, given the strong community, no major supply shock unlocks, the TVL right now, and the development of their ecosystem, I would say it's a possibility we will break out and rally up higher. But for me, purely technically, look, I'm I have a pretty easy strategy. It relies a lot on ranges. So do I think this is possible to get this bullish breakout? Yes, but purely technically, I would wait for one of those two levels to break. All right, and it is also technically possible. You know, we'll stretch this down, but that we drop down below our technical support level at 10 cents, and that will drop into 7.5 cents, maybe even lower, before actually turning bullish again. So be aware of that. We're just ranging right now, and you should react and you should trade according to the range. Now, long term, or at least in the next half a year before the unlocks, I would say accumulating the spot is also a good idea. But in these market circumstances, I would be a little bit more comfortable with waiting for the breakout or waiting for a new support level if we get a bearish breakout, and just trading and investing in reaction to what we see from the markets. But those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know regarding Plume, what it is, their ecosystem and how big their ecosystem actually is, and a bit of technical analysis here. If you're interested in that, I can keep you updated on that, but let me know. For now, that's it. So have a great weekend. Take care and bye.